people who say it's unfair that McGregor gets to jump past rankings before defending his belt. And the same goes with, I guess you could say, Henderson, right? Like, what do you think, Nick?
I get what people are kind of saying, but it's a super fight. It's a champion in one division. I think he should be able to test himself against another champion in another division. I get why the UFC could do it, but I'm also thinking it's part of the new owners running the company. I think they want to make as much money as they can as possible.
Yeah. They have a big say in it?
So I think there's gonna be a lot of fights that aren't gonna make sense, but they're gonna be big money fights.
See, the thing is people say, oh, like, who was saying, Jose Aldo's manager or someone's manager was saying, oh, like, you know, you don't have, I don't know what example he used, but a Super Bowl or no, like a playoffs, and you make like, oh, this guy's gonna play this guy, because like, no, you go by like the season and the standings was the point he was trying to make. But the thing is, man, fighting's just different, man. Fighting is different. Yes, it's a sport. The rankings are helpful for when you don't know who to match up and, you know, just a guideline, but you can't just ignore like who should fight who. You know what I mean? Just like, I know we're jumping a little bit, but GSP fighting Silva, which we just got the rumor about. That should have happened so long
ago. And that didn't happen.
And it didn't happen.
Because while we were waiting on rankings and...
Well, I don't know if that's a good example for that. But yeah, it's just like, you got to strike while the iron's hot when it comes to fighting. And fighting's all about...
in the moment.
Yeah. It's sports entertainment. And even from boxing and shit like that, one of the things that we didn't like about boxing is so many of the best fighters would end up avoiding each other.
Yeah.
And we get fucking stale.
Or just like, you know, like 2 fights a year, right?
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to like UFC, you're getting a lot of money. You're getting a lot of money fights all the
time. What
were
they saying? They were saying in boxing, you pick your opponent, like, or the promoters pick.
It's usually the fighters end up picking
the champions. The champions have a lot of say.
Yeah.
Something like that, but they're saying in the UFC, it's like, no, like they choose, and that's awesome.
Yeah,
like, that's how it should be, man. And then that doesn't mean rankings are useless. You know, it means rankings have their place. 80 to 90% of the time. I'm surprised you're agreeing with me.
And they can be money fights too. Like, so, like, for example, like Aldo, right? It's like, instead of whining about, you know, oh, like they're not giving me the shot, why don't you go prove yourself? Go freaking, you know, clean out your division. Make it the money fight again. Make yourself relevant. Stop whining about it. Why did you get there in the first place, right? You were a good fighter. Like, you're only coming off like a decision win over Frankie Edgar.
Yeah.
And then a 13-round fucking knockout to Conor. Right? It's like, you need to erase that in order to get your title defense or whatever, your title shot.
Chael Sonnen made an amazing... I think it was a great point on his podcast saying, you know, he's been saying how he's sick of hearing fighters say, oh, I want the money fight, like demanding this and that. And he was saying, what's really interesting, he's like, anybody who signed the UFC, I guess in his experience, he's never heard of anyone signing and then being upset with their deal. You're making a deal when you sign that contract.
Exactly.
They're like, we're going to put you on, right? We're going to market you, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
This is how much you're going to get paid. And he's saying, oh, all of a sudden, like, they're not... happy with their deal. Like, you were happy when you signed it, right? Now what's changed, right? Oh, you got some buzz. Well, they gave you buzz. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And another good point.
I don't know if it's necessarily they gave you buzz or you created the buzz yourself. I can
but they still put you on, man. Like, you could be the best fighter in the world, but without the UFC, no one's gonna see you, right?
Yeah, but true. But the UFC is marketing you. They're putting you out there. They think that this guy must be good. He could probably bring some eyes to the sport.
Yeah.
So I think if you're creating that buzz on your own, if you start in another organization and you start fucking racking up bodies, and then the UFC's like, yo, this kid could be sick, this kid could bring eyes.
But to a casual fan, right? Like,
yeah, but they see something. They see something there, and say if you get to the UFC, you sign a contract, and you start starting people in the first round. I understand, like, hey, listen, man, a lot of people are starting to watch me.
Well, I want to renegotiate. But then why not fight out your contract, then renegotiate? Right?
Yeah, it all depends on how fast you're rising.
I don't know. I just think I agree with that point. It's just like, yo, we made a deal. Chill. Before you
exactly.
You know,
just make sure the.
And Sonnen's a good fight. Like, he's not like a nobody, you know, stating this opinion. Like, he's got grounds to say fighters need to relax with wanting this and that. And he says it's not up to you. It's up to the fans what the money fight is, because they're the ones paying, right? And it's true.
Straight up, we are the fans.
But I don't think there's anyone that's in there with like 2 fights and they want to renegotiate. I think it's people that have like built up an impressive resume, and then they're like, hey man, I got some eyes on me. Maybe we should talk about this.
Well, I don't know. It's like even like Henderson said, I don't know. I think he made a good point about himself. Like talking about he feels bad, obviously that he's jumping up the ranks.
Yeah,
but he's like, you know what though, like I've been in this sport for a long time. I've done a lot for this sport.
Exactly.
I'm the only guy in the division who's actually murdered Bisping the hardest.
Yeah.
And what's the big deal? The minute this fight's done, I'm out of the picture anyways, and they can have can have Michael Bisping after I'm done with him. And it's like, yeah, you know what? Like it is the fun fight. He still thinks about it,
I would want to ask whoever's complaining, Yoel, Jacare.
Yeah.
Bro, do you really want to live in a world where you got your way, or whoever, they went by rankings, and that fight never happened? Like, how is that worth it? You know what I mean?
What do you mean the fight never happened though?
Like if they get their way, Hendo retires. There's no Bisping Hendo. Like, is that really what they want?
Yeah, because then they get a title shot.
Yeah, but they're gonna get one either way. Right? Like
unless they
not necessarily
don't do well.
Okay, but whoever thinks they're next.
If Yoel Romero loses to Chris Weidman,
yeah,
then this shit's out the window. He's got to fucking reset again.
So he would So you're saying that he would rather live in a version of reality where the fight never happened. An epic fight doesn't happen because of the
they don't give a fuck about epic fight with those two. They care about their money fight and their title shot.
They care about their belt, man. These are guys that
because they're asking
their whole lives.
Well, they need to understand as a fan, you can't take that kind of stuff. They don't. Sure. It doesn't come that often.
No, for sure.
Like crazy grudge matches.
No, absolutely not.
That's another thing.
Other fighters couldn't give a fuck because they're asking Michael Bisping like, what do you say to people that are saying like, oh, how could you get to pick, and like, what about the rest of the division? You don't care? It's like, no, fuck the division. I care about me. It's like, fuck my division.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, so that's how Romero's gonna think too. It's like, yo, fuck the fans, fuck everything else. Like, I should be getting my title shot.
Yeah, I should be fighting this guy.
But they should know that that's just not how it works. Like the fans, you fight for the fans. Who said that?
Fans.
Silva?
Every Brazilian ever.
Yeah, every Brazilian ever.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I get making fun fights, but I still have a problem with the number 13 guy jumping out. Past people that are like in the wings ready to fight, I just have a problem with that.
I do have a problem with it. The only reason I don't have a problem with it is because it's Dan Henderson. That's my only issue.
He hasn't earned it.
And it's his last fight. Like, why not? Like,
he earned it by dropping the H-bomb the first time.
Yeah, but that was 7 years
It doesn't matter. Bisping wants his revenge. He earned it. It's
so
like
any fighter that's fucking retired now that drops somebody impressive 7 years ago, all of a sudden be like, no, fuck that guy. That guy's still
It depends if that's the way the story unfolds. Like, listen, who's number 13 in featherweight? Do you know? You're the expert.
No. I'd have to look at the rankings.
Who's like... can you name...
13's like Black Beast heavyweight, I think, right?
Okay, let's pretend, right?
Yeah.
If Black Beast... What's his name? Derek
Lewis.
If Derek Lewis in the heavyweight division, let's say he's ranked 13, we don't know at this moment, he gets a title shot, that is so different than Dan Henderson getting a title shot. Do you get it? Come on, you can't say that's the same.
That's
a good point. Give it to me.
Let's say if we have Cain Velasquez waiting there for a title shot, healthy, ready to go, he could be booked as soon as, say, if he's on suspension. As soon as that suspension ends, he could like fight at the same time. But then they throw Andre Arlovski in there, who's just like been losing most of his fucking last fights.
But even Arlovski,
that's what it's like.
Is he 13?
He's not 13, but I think he's in the top 10. But he's in the lower half of the top 10 now because of his losses.
Yeah, but so Henderson's 13 for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Arlovski, I would argue, even though it doesn't.
But he hasn't looked that impressive. That's the thing.
Yeah, but
neither has Dan Henderson.
Yes, he is. He just not. I thought, what's his name?
Hector
Lombard. Yeah,
who just came back off juice.
But then
but he was still impressed. Everybody was impressed with that knockout. Come on.
Yeah, man. It was an impressive knockout. But if you look at his past fights, he hasn't looked that impressive lately. He's been getting his fucking ass.
I'm just saying about middleweight though. The middleweight fighters, Rockhold's coming off a loss, right?
Yeah.
Jacare beat fucking Vitor, right?
But lost to Yoel.
But lost
suspended.
Who was suspended, and Weidman got the shit kicked out of him by fucking.
Exactly.
But Romero was there. Romero was sitting there waiting.
Romero could have gotten a shot.
Romero was
his suspension was over. His suspension is over before this fight. His suspension is over now. He could be fighting.
But it wasn't over when Bisping won the championship.
It was coming over.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They booked Anderson before his suspension was over. They could do that.
For the record,
you could fight the day after your suspension ends. You could fight right away.
Oh, so they should have just booked it before.
Yeah, they could have booked it before and had that fight happen.
Maybe they feel like it's not earned because he had an advantage, you know.
And he was like,
boring.
Disproven.
It was
I know, but he still had the advantage, right?
Yeah, but
Whatever
when
it is.
does the UFC ever give a fuck about that?
But I'm just saying, man. There's so many reasons for this to slide that you can't really complain. It's not. You can't use the argument. Oh, it's 13th guy because it's not the same as a Derek Lewis fighting for the title. Because that would be.
It's a legendary.
That's where I would be like, okay, that makes zero sense.
No,
this doesn't make zero sense.
It's a legendary Dan Henderson who, like, he was great back in his day, but he looks like shit against the top of the top guys. He's been getting his fucking ass kicked.
Lombard was pretty good.
Yeah.
He's
like decent. People thought he was going to be the next biggest thing, but he kind of fell short.
He did fall.
And then
he fell very short.
Yeah.
Well, man.
Just gases, right? So
for the record, what did I say the day Bisping knocked out Rockhold? Who should get the next fight?
Dan Henderson.
That's what I said. For the record.
Yeah,
and for the record, what did Nick say?
I said it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Which it is.
And he's still so
everyone says it's ridiculous.
It is over ridiculous.
It's not though.
It is. It's completely ridiculous.
Completely ridiculous would be Derek Lewis fighting for the belt
against Michi.
Yes.
Miocic.
Yeah. Imagine that. That would be. Which one's more ridiculous?
Miocic.
To me, Dan Henderson.
Oh, you're just trying to.
No, because
Black Lewis,
stubborn. The Black Beast is an up and coming young heavyweight.
Okay, let me choose someone who's a veteran then.
The Arlovsky comparison is the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Arlovsky has to
there you go. Yeah. Let's see. He gets the title shot.
He's a former champion.
Let's say he gets a title shot.
Yeah, but But if you have someone like Cain Velasquez healthy, waiting in the wings, and they're like, "Yo, fuck you, Cain. Let's put Arlovsky's old ass in there."
But if he had a PED suspension, you got to get some kind of punishment, and he got it with the little.
Yeah, the suspension is a bunch. He couldn't make money for 6 months.
Yeah, like Silva didn't get a title shot when he came back, you know.
No, but they gave him Diaz, or not Diaz. They gave him.
Wait, what are you talking about? Silva, what?
So when Silva finally came back,
he gave him
after
And fought who?
But that was a title contendership. That was like
after suspension.
Yeah, they gave him Bisping, and then Bisping came in for an injured Weidman, right?
Yeah.
After, so.
Wait, what? Who gave who Bisping?
Silva got Bisping when he came back from suspension. He didn't get a title shot, is what I'm saying.
Wait. So Silva versus Bisping was a replacement? Short notice?
No.
Oh.
No, Bisping was a replacement for Weidman against Rock.
Oh, yeah, I know that. Yeah. Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah.
That was an awesome...
We're just saying. Awesome. I'm just saying though, like
awesome.
You know, I'm just saying though, like Romero, maybe that's why he didn't get a title shot because he was on suspension. It's like why should he just get a title shot right away?
You know, it
like
works.
Silva, the greatest of all time, arguably, didn't even get a title shot after suspension. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And he's a guy who deserves that.
I don't
right?
think you could have justifiably given him a title shot.
He couldn't just.
Who
maybe
was
even Romero
champ
right?
when Diaz fought Silva?
What's that?
Who was champ?
Weidman.
Was it still Weidman?
Yeah. And you couldn't just finally make him fight Weidman again. It's like, no, that's making him fight.
Well,
I don't think they should.
I mean, there are two weird losses.
What was going to happen. Yeah, but he was getting his ass kicked in that first fight. He got dropped with a fucking small shot in the clinch.
Yeah, so same with Chael.
Yeah,
but then what? You have to fight again, right? That's fourth fight with what's his name?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So it's unfair that McGregor jumps past the rankings. I don't think so, man. I think you earn it by what you do. The fan interest, you've earned.
And
it.
everyone wants to see super fights.
Everyone wants to see super fights because they don't happen enough.
They don't happen enough, and also, you know what? McGregor was supposed to fight a super fight once, and it didn't happen. So why not give him another chance?
Yeah.
You know, hopefully Eddie Alvarez doesn't get injured.
RDA getting injured made Conor McGregor so much more money.
Yeah. Why is that?
Because he had to go through this whole fucking Diaz situation.
Yeah.
With the two fights.
Yeah. Made like 25 mil extra. Like.
But he's saying he's going to make 40 mil?
This year. He's claiming.
2016? So who is that? That's 2 fights or 3 fights?
He's probably going to be split between 3 fights.
Wait, when did he fight Aldo? 2015? December?
Yeah.
Yeah, it must have been because 2016 December's coming up. So. And then, was that 1 year?
Yeah, it's been like a whole year.
Dude, it feels like so long because he fights all the time.
Yeah, I know.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was like 2 years ago.
What, after that fight he's fought twice, though?
Yeah, both to Nate.
Yeah, that's it.
So this will be his 3rd time fighting in a year, which is a lot for a fighter, right?
Not for him.
Not for him.
Not for him.
What do you mean not for him? Oh, because
he's no cowboy.
Yeah.
Cowboy fights.
But Cowboy's like, how many times does he fight?
He would fight like 13 times a year if he could.
No, but how much does he do?
He'll do around 4 to 5 fights.
What did he do this year? He did like RDA, Eddie Alvarez.
He fought Eddie Alvarez this year?
Didn't he fight him this year?
No.
Or was it last year?
I think that was last year.
Anyways.
No, that might have been this year.
Yeah, he fought RDA twice, I believe, or something.
Not in 1 year.
No, not this year. He fought Cowboy Oliveira. He fought
Rick Story.
Rick Story. Yeah.
Patrick Cote.
Fought like 4 times this year. 4 or 5 times.
Fighting Campbell Gastelum. That's already just 4 or 5 fights I've just mentioned right there.
Yeah.
He wanted to take a chance and risk getting knocked out.